In the upscale Buckhead neighborhood on the outskirts of Atlanta, spring was in full bloom. It had been a month since the Bryant family moved in, and the dogwood flowers swayed in the breeze of their garden while the pleasant sound of sprinklers drifted over from neighboring lawns. Mary Bryant still couldn't believe this new white two-story house was really theirs. "Lily, how do you like decorating your room? I see you've put up your Snoopy posters so nicely." Mary called out gently to her daughter, who had come downstairs during a break from her work-from-home schedule. Her desk was covered with interior color samples and material swatches. Though she was busy meeting deadlines for designing luxury apartment model rooms, being able to work from home as an interior coordinator was the greatest joy for her, as it allowed her to spend precious time with her daughter. "Yes. Having my own room is the best. I even made a corner for my dolls. Kate and Emma want to come over and play." 9-year-old Lily bounced excitedly toward her mother. With a band-aid on her knee and wearing her school uniform, she was every bit the active fourth grader. Having previously slept in a small room next to her parents' bedroom, having her own room in their new home was a great joy. Light pink wallpaper, white wooden furniture, and a bookshelf by the window filled with her favorite books, it was truly a space filled with a young girl's dreams. "Oh, that's right, when Dad gets home, he said he'll install your new bedside lamp." Mary said this while gently stroking her daughter's slightly bouncy brown hair. Her husband David worked as an engineer at a major IT company and was a loving husband and father. Though the mortgage payments were certainly challenging, it was thanks to his hard work that they could send Lily to the Galloway School, a prestigious private school. On weekends, they enjoyed shopping at Lenox Square Mall, and on Sundays, they attended Mass at Peachtree Road United Methodist Church as usual. Their family's presence at church was the envy of others. Recently, they had made it a habit to enjoy lunch at Chick-fil-A after the service with their neighbors, the Johnsons. "Mary, how are you enjoying life in your new home? Please do come to the Homeowners Association's garden party." Mrs. Johnson, with her perfectly styled gray hair, spoke to her warmly. She was a central figure in the church's women's group. "Oh yes, it's very comfortable. Lily especially loves her new room." "I'm sure she does. Having your own space is so special for girls that age. I remember when my granddaughter was the same age. It was the ideal family life, an elegant existence in an upscale neighborhood. At least on the surface. However, recently, small signs of discord had begun to emerge. David was spending more time on his computer late into the night. Though he claimed it was work deadlines, it was concerning how quickly he would close his screen. Household expenses had increased, but their destination was unclear. Her husband's reluctance to show credit card statements. And most worrying of all was Lily's behavior. For the past few days, there had been noises in the middle of the night. At first, Mary thought it was just adjustment to the new environment. But Lily's expression had become somewhat darker, and she particularly seemed to avoid conversations with her father. At the breakfast table, she would refuse to sit near him. "Lily, is something bothering you? Did something unpleasant happen at school?" When Mary asked, concerned about her daughter's behavior. No, nothing's wrong. School is fun. Lily would force a smile, but Mary couldn't shake the feeling that there was a dark shadow lurking behind her daughter's eyes. Her maternal instinct was warning her that something was wrong. Life in the new house was certainly comfortable. An upscale neighborhood, a good school, an ideal family. But beneath these peaceful days, something was slowly but surely beginning to crumble. Late at night, as David was working late again, Mary sat alone on the sofa, sipping warm chamomile tea. David had been staying late at the office about 3 times a week recently. She was habitually checking the Galloway School's parent portal on her smartphone. Outside the window, early summer insects were performing their quiet nighttime symphony. The soft light from the table lamp cast long shadows in the corners of the room. The Scandinavian-designed lighting they had purchased after moving into the new house created a warm atmosphere during the day, but at night it cast somewhat eerie shadows. The wall clock's ticking seemed unusually loud. Mary looked back at her smartphone. The screen showed tomorrow's schedule: Lily's drama club practice, followed by piano lessons. The ability to enjoy such enriching after-school activities was one of the major benefits of moving to this upscale neighborhood. That's when she heard a faint sound from upstairs. At first, she thought she was imagining it. But there was definitely the sound of someone walking in the hallway. Then, small footsteps coming down the stairs. Mary instinctively straightened her back. From the darkness came the sound of sobbing. Mary quickly went to the kitchen to prepare some hot cocoa, a habit for when Lily woke up in the middle of the night. However, when she returned from the kitchen, an unfamiliar scene awaited her. In the middle of the living room, illuminated by moonlight, Lily stood trembling. Her small frame in pastel pink pajamas shook like a leaf in the wind. The fur of the teddy bear she was clutching was wet with tears. "What's wrong, Lily? Did you have a bad dream?" Mary knelt beside her daughter and placed a hand on her shoulder. But Lily's trembling wouldn't stop. "Mom." A thin voice cut through the darkness. "I can't take it anymore." Lily's voice was trembling. Tears glistened in her eyes, reflecting the moonlight. "What's wrong? Lily, tell Mommy what's happening." Mary desperately tried to maintain her composure. However, her heart was pounding violently. Her maternal instinct was warning her that something terrible was happening. "Daddy. Daddy comes to my room every night." At those words, Mary's world froze for an instant. But she didn't change her expression. She couldn't frighten her daughter more. She desperately told herself this. "What do you mean, Daddy comes to your room?" "The cameras, while I'm sleeping." Lily's words were halting. She hugged her teddy bear even tighter. "Daddy put small cameras in my room. I didn't notice at first. But I found them on Daddy's computer screen." In Mary's mind, all the recent unsettling feelings suddenly connected. The late-night computer work. The unusual expenses. The changes in Lily's behavior. "He's showing my sleeping face to other people on the internet. For money." Lily's voice trembled, but she gradually continued to string words together. I saw it on Daddy's computer. Lots of people were watching, paying money. Daddy said, "This is for the family." Tears flowed uncontrollably. He said if I told anyone, you would be sad. That I couldn't go to school anymore. Mary embraced Lily strongly but gently. Though anger and fear were swirling inside her chest, right now she had to think only about protecting her daughter. Lily, thank you for telling me. You haven't done anything wrong. Mommy will protect you. The daughter in her embrace gradually stopped trembling. Tonight, let's sleep together in Mommy's room, Mary said quietly. In her mind, the next action plan was already taking shape. Tomorrow, first consult with the police's cybercrime unit. Before sending Lily to school, she needed to get her to safety at her grandmother's house. And then, looking at Lily's back as she climbed the stairs, Mary strengthened her resolve. Everything had to be finished by tomorrow morning. The anger toward her husband who had trampled on her daughter's innocence was quietly but surely burning inside her. That night, after putting her daughter to sleep in her own bed, Mary spent long hours in the dark house. While waiting for David's return, she had made a decision. The next morning, Mary began to act. After dropping Lily off at her grandmother's house, she was heading to the Georgia State Police Headquarters Cybercrime Unit. Her white Lexus RX glided along the highway, still light with traffic. "Mrs. Bryant, could you please tell us the details?" In the cybercrime unit's interview room, Detective Margaret Williams spoke gently. In her mid-50s, she was a veteran with over 20 years of experience specializing in cyber crimes against children. "My husband installed hidden cameras in my daughter's bedroom." Mary began her explanation with a trembling voice. While telling the previous night's events, her fingers unconsciously gripped the edge of her handbag tightly. Detective Williams quickly assessed the situation with experienced eyes. When the perpetrator is an IT company engineer, the risk of evidence destruction is extremely high. Immediate action was necessary. That afternoon, Mary was meeting with James Morrison, a security camera expert. A former FBI technical analyst, he now worked as a private security consultant. The latest IoT cameras are often disguised as common household appliances. Morrison continued his technical explanation. Pay particular attention to bedside and desk lamps. Tiny cameras can be hidden inside LED bulbs. Also, be wary of smoke detectors and air conditioning vents. Mary thought back to their life until yesterday. Indeed, David had replaced Lily's bedside lamp with a new one last week. He had explained it was the latest smart home compatible model, but "Mrs. Bryant, let's use this." Morrison took out a small device. It's a hidden camera detector. It can detect radio waves to identify the presence of cameras. When they entered Lily's room, the device immediately showed a response. Bedside lamp, desk lamp, and the ceiling smoke detector. A total of 3 cameras had been installed. This is quite sophisticated equipment. Morrison frowned. These aren't just streaming cameras. The data is first encrypted and appears to be routed through different servers. This is professional work. Those words sent chills down Mary's spine. Her husband's actions were more planned and organized than she had thought. Simultaneously, the cybercrime unit team had begun tracking David's online activities. They discovered unusual patterns in cryptocurrency transactions. They also identified a streaming network that routed through multiple overseas servers. "Mrs. Bryant, we've made an important discovery." In the evening, Detective Williams called. "Your husband was part of a larger network. The FBI's cybercrime division is already involved." Mary held her breath. How deep did this darkness go? From what we currently know, there were viewers in at least 30 countries. Payments were primarily made in cryptocurrency, with estimated earnings of about $120,000 over the past 2 years. That night, Mary stayed with Lily at her grandmother's house. Her daughter had finished meeting with a specialist counselor and had finally fallen into peaceful sleep. "We'll get through this," Mary whispered to herself while watching Lily's sleeping face. At that moment, her smartphone vibrated. It was a call from the FBI. "Mrs. Bryant, we've uncovered new facts. It appears your husband began these activities to cover a $500,000 loss from failed investments. However," the investigator hesitated for a moment on the other end of the line. "There's something more serious. The network your husband belonged to included numerous other perpetrators and victims." Mary's grip on the phone tightened. The depth of this darkness far exceeded her imagination. The next morning, the FBI team was preparing for final evidence collection. David had gone to work as usual, and plans were in place to arrest him when he returned home. Mary was meeting with attorney Jennifer Parker. Detailed preparations were needed for divorce proceedings and Lily's custody issues. The top priority is Lily's emotional recovery. Parker continued her explanation, maintaining professional coolness while speaking kindly. "The court will certainly be on your side. We'll support you with everything we have." In the upscale Buckhead neighborhood, over a dozen unmarked black SUVs quietly assembled. Inside the vehicles, FBI Cybercrime Division elite agents were conducting final briefings. Radio communications quietly crossed the air. Special Agent Michael Rodriguez was confirming the final operation details. At 38, he specialized in taking down child-targeted cybercrime operations and had successfully dismantled 5 similar networks in the past 3 years. The suspect has advanced IT knowledge. Time required for remote data deletion is approximately 30 seconds. We can't give him more time than that from entry to securing him. Everyone understood the weight of those words. The front door was opened in an instant with special equipment, and fully armed agents stormed the house. In the master bedroom on the second floor, David was already awake. He reflexively reached for his laptop, but Charlie team entered through the window and secured him. Special equipment was immediately attached to the computer to prevent remote evidence destruction. "David Bryant, you are under arrest on charges of producing and transmitting child exploitation material and involvement in an international criminal organization." You have the right to remain silent. As the Miranda rights were being read, neighbors began gathering outside the house. Such events were unprecedented in this normally quiet upscale neighborhood. WSB-TV's news crew had already arrived on the scene. Yes, we're in the upscale Buckhead district of Atlanta. Just moments ago, a major operation by the FBI and Georgia State Police. By the time the first report aired on the morning news program, the incident had already become a major topic on social media. At the Atlanta Federal District Court, preliminary hearings were about to begin. Representatives from child protection organizations were present in the gallery. Defendant David James Bryant, step forward. Judge Elizabeth Montgomery's voice echoed through the silent courtroom. With over 20 years of experience, she was known for her unforgiving sentences, particularly in cases involving children. The prosecution's opening statement began. Members of the jury. The defendant exploited the most innocent beings, children, in the most despicable way. Assistant U.S. Attorney Sarah Jenkins began speaking powerfully. The defendant installed multiple hidden cameras in his 9-year-old daughter's bedroom and streamed the footage on platforms in over 30 countries. He earned more than $120,000 over 2 years. A murmur went through the courtroom. Even more seriously, the defendant was a member of a larger international network. The investigation has identified at least 15 other children who were similarly victimized. Evidence was presented one after another. Encrypted streaming data, bank transaction records, and the most decisive evidence, detailed records found on David's computer. The defense argued that debt from failed investments was the motive and there was no violent element. However, the prosecution immediately countered. Psychological abuse can sometimes leave deeper scars than physical abuse. Expert testimony was also given. Dr. Catherine Brown, an authority in child psychology, took the witness stand. The trauma from such acts can have serious impacts on victims' personality development. Particularly when the perpetrator is the biological father, the impact is immeasurable. The trial continued for 3 days. On the final day, Judge Montgomery delivered her sentence. Defendant David James Bryant. Your actions represent the most despicable form of child abuse. Exploiting your own child for financial gain while in a position of trust as a parent can never be forgiven. The courtroom fell silent. Therefore, this court sentences you as follows: 12 years imprisonment. No possibility of parole. $150,000 in restitution. 10 years of restricted internet use after release. Lifetime registration as a sex offender. The sound of the gavel echoed through the courtroom. After the sentencing, Mary made a brief statement to the press. We are beginning a new life. I want to use this experience to help protect other children from similar victimization. Her words were widely covered by national media. CNN, Fox News, and even NBC News ran various special features, drawing major attention to the social issue. Divorce proceedings were in their final stages, and sole custody of Lily was assured. On the car radio, news was playing about new legislation being debated regarding online child protection, sparked by this case. Tomorrow, a new life would begin with Lily. She let out a deep sigh while watching the Atlanta skyline painted in sunset colors. 1 year after the incident, in spring, in a quiet residential area of Savannah, 100 miles from Atlanta, Mary and Lily were living in a Victorian-style house that retained its 19th-century charm. In the garden, roses that Mary carefully tended were blooming gloriously, and on weekends, neighborhood children could be seen gathering to play. "Mom, look! I got the part in the audition." Lily burst through the front door excitedly waving a letter as soon as she returned from school. She had landed the role of Dorothy in the local children's theater group Savannah Kids Theater's spring production of The Wizard of Oz. "Congratulations, Lily." Mary hugged her daughter. Over the past year, Lily had gradually but surely regained her spirit. Though she still continues twice-weekly counseling sessions, according to Dr. Sarah Johnson, Lily's recovery has been remarkably fast. "You know, when I'm acting, I can just be myself. While pretending to be someone else, I feel like I can find my true self." Mary felt tears welling up at Lily's words. Acting was a new hobby suggested by her counselor. Now it had become Lily's emotional anchor. Meanwhile, at the Atlanta Federal Prison, David was participating in a rehabilitation program. He faced his crimes every day. "I hurt the one I should have protected most." His statements in group therapy always began with these words. He was also participating in rehabilitation programs using IT skills provided in the prison. He was trying to use those skills to protect children from cybercrime. Mary occasionally receives letters from David. Though most remain unopened and stored away, each one contains words of deep regret and apology. Maybe someday Lily will want to read these letters. I'll keep them until then. With this thought, Mary carefully stored the letters. Life in Savannah had become more fulfilling than expected. Mary had established a nonprofit organization called Safe Children Online, working to raise awareness about preventing online child exploitation. "I want to use our experience to prevent other families from experiencing similar tragedies." Her activities were gradually gaining attention across the country. CNN's feature, Digital Age Warriors, covered Mary's work in detail. "It's our responsibility as adults to protect children. Technology is a double-edged sword. Depending on how it's used, it can be either our greatest ally or our worst enemy." These words resonated with many viewers. On weekends, Mary held workshops for parents at the local First Baptist Church. Take an interest in your children's digital lives. However, building trust is important, not surveillance. Some participants came from as far as Texas and Florida. Her practical advice, based on personal experience, helped ease many parents' anxieties. One day in June, Lily celebrated her 10th birthday. The garden party was attended by her school friends, theater companions, and many community members who had supported them. As singing filled the garden, Lily blew out her candles. Her face as she cut the cake showed no trace of the dark shadows from before. "Hey Mom, I've decided on my dream," Lily said while helping clean up after the party. "I want to be a counselor." I want to become someone who can help children who are suffering like I was." Mary stopped in her tracks. Her daughter's eyes showed strong determination. She was trying to transform her painful experience into strength to help others. Mary's chest swelled with pride in her daughter. Their new family photo showed Mary and Lily, along with the community members who supported them. It represented a new kind of family bond, one that went beyond blood relations. Their support activities continued to expand. Mary's organization had begun developing new applications to protect children's online safety in collaboration with IT companies. Additionally, their awareness programs were set to be implemented in schools nationwide. At dusk, Mary sat on the garden bench, surrounded by the scent of roses, looking up at the sky. Certainly, the scars of the past don't disappear easily. But they could transform those wounds into strength and walk a new path. She could be confident of that now in these days. "Mom, look, the stars are coming out." Lily sat down next to her, snuggling close. "Hey, we're going to be okay forever, right?" "Yes, of course we will." Mary embraced her daughter. Tomorrow, and the day after, they could walk together. That had become an unshakable truth.